1. Well, good evening, everyone, to another episode. Well, it's not even an episode. This is part 4 of Complete Warrior. Yes, there's part 4. Yeah, it's going to take a while. I'm Adam, and as you can see, I've recently gotten some Chinese takeout, so if you hear me make occasional mukbang noises, you kind of know why.
I am Mrs. Diapsid, and I'm about ready for this to be over. I am. We're so close, guys.
I'm the Diocid, and I'm looking forward to the last few classes. There's some interesting ones.
Well, you might be wanting this to be over, but I'm not, because I know that there's knowledge that if I can't find a new book by next week, I have to do Thirsty Sword Lesbians. And I'm going to try to make that a point to not do it during Pride Month, because Prometheans was the book we did for that, damn it, and it's a good book. So, I'll try to figure out something. Who knows, maybe recording that Street Fighter RPG that Greg always wanted us to look at. Anyway, since we're so close and there's a decent amount of classes left to go through, let us actually look into the setup. At least if I get it right. Let's see. And with a bit of luck, I don't have eyes on the stream, not with the way the setup works. One of these days, I swear I'll fix that. We should be looking at the first class today, Rage Mage, which the basic concept of Rage Mage is insane. You have to be a madman to actually want to take this, because the build to get to it is so terrible.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there's two ways you can really do it. You need to be an arcane caster, but you also have to take barbarian levels. Now, neither of those things do good together. Arcane casting, for example, cannot be cast while in rage. And barbarians lose their nice to hit bonuses when you take a class that has poor BAB. So you don't benefit either way. You also lose rages, which isn't fun. And very important health pool die. Because I'd rather have the D12 than the D4 if I'm going to go into melee. So the basic concept is terrible, and it's even in the fluff. At first, it seems like a contradiction. An arcane spellcaster that loses themselves in blind fury. Yet the Rage Mage makes it an interesting case, since their approach to magic is based on the primal passion of magic, more than studious quasi-scientific approach. Which basically implies that you're going to want to do this as a sorcerer, just from what I'm reading. It's sure to enliven any campaign, because you have to be a lunatic to actually want to play one of these. So,
Yeah, and live. I just like how they say in live, and like, yeah, probably not in the way that they're thinking, though.
it enlivens a party group as much as if you guys just reach epic and the Scion chooses to turn themselves into a sandwich. I mean, don't get me wrong, that does enliven the scenario, but not in the way they want.
Yeah.
By the way, I do recommend fried rice. It's a good way to use your old rice. So anyway, to become a Rage Mage, you have to be non-lawful, because barbarian. Base attack of +4. And you need combat casting, which, if you're playing a mage, I don't really recommend having, but, fair enough. Spells, you need to have the ability to cast second level arcane, and while you could do this as a wizard, I just don't think it works that way. And you need either rage or frenzy, so technically, if you want to go truly awful, horrible, you could actually make a frenzied berserker rage mage combo.
God. Seriously?
You could, because you don't need rage. You could just get frenzy, although you do need rage to get frenzy. So, in terms of chassis, they have D8 and they have average BAB, which effectively means that it's kind of like your range. It's kind of like your cleric chassis. They only have good fort saves, and let's get into their abilities. First off, they get every other spell level an arcane spellcasting class, which is not great because they're already
Well,
sacrificing so
yeah,
much.
this kills the class out the door, honestly.
Well, there's two ways to interpret how you're supposed to enter this. Are you a mage that primarily is one? Are you primarily a mage, or are you primarily a martial? If you're primarily a mage, utter ruination instantly just from that. And if you're a martial,
But
it still utterly ruinates you, just not as bad because your
I don't know.
ethos entering it's
The
different.
thing is that there's so many alternatives where you can have your cake and eat it too.
Oh, I'm aware. But can you cast spells while enraged?
There is a feat for that.
And that's
Yeah,
why, and that is why 3.5 early books usually rate worse than newer ones. Because,
yeah, usually there's for that.
so, let's look at spell rage. A rage mage can cast spells while in rage as long as the spell casting time is no more than one full round. When they cast a spell of abjuration, conjuration, evocation, necromancy, or transmutation while in a rage, the rage mage uses their character level as caster level. So it doesn't ruin it in terms of DC, but it does ruin it in terms of what you get. At least if you're entering this as a mage. While in a spell rage, they become reckless and lose some of the ability to blah blah blah, basically the same mechanics as rage. They can't use any other mental stats other than casting spells. Balance, escape artist, intimidate, and ride. Basically, it's rage. It's rage, but you can cast magic. At second level, they have overcome spell failure, where you just learn to ignore some of the restrictive nature of armor. Their arcane spell failure chance while wearing light or medium armor decreases by 10%. Woo! They get rages, obviously. Oh, angry spell. Beginning at 5th level, and when a rage mage casts a spell of abjuration, conjuration, evocation, blah, the 5 that they allow you, the save DC for the spell increases by +2, and it increases by +4 as part of the capstone. Which isn't too bad, but at the same time, your spell loadout's very limited.
And I can't imagine your casting stat would be as high as what a full caster would be. And you also got to focus on strength and constitution for this build.
Again, there's two ideas that I think come from this. You either enter this as primarily a barbarian that takes a 4-level dip in sorcerer, or you enter this for some reason as a sorcerer who takes a single dip as barbarian. Either option's fucking terrible, but
But the latter is even more terrible because what's the point?
I want.
What would a sorcerer gain from having rage?
Well, you see,
Yeah,
it's like
that's what I was thinking. Because rage, because I guess the rage lets you use your character level as opposed to your caster level. But if you just stuck with sorcerer, you would have been kind of. You actually could do that.
you'd be a million times better. But you see, you don't understand. This is
Plus,
like
you wouldn't yeah. Plus, you only get every other level.
well,
But if you're stuck with
some
sorcerer,
people.
you got.
Okay. I'm just gonna say some people like the taste of orange juice and mint toothpaste in their mouth at the same time. I think this class is for those people. See, they enjoy the taste of delicious OJ only after they just brush their teeth because of the horrible taste.
So masochists.
I think
Either that
that's
or people who are frequent riders of the short bus.
This is for the type of people that chew aluminum foil on purpose when they have fillings. So they get Spell Fury upon reaching 7th level. A Rage Mage can quicken a spell. Oh, it's as if you had Quicken Spell, but
Which
without
means,
adjusting the spell
technically
level.
speaking, as sorcerer, you can't use it.
So you have to enter this as a wizard to be able to use it? Oh, this is genius. but without adjusting the spell's level or casting time, which sounds nice, but it's not as useful as you think.
I know the example character has sorcerer levels, but there is a long history of 3.5 breaking the rules with their example characters.
And last but not least, their capstone is Warrior's Cry, because Tireless Rage, well, basically you don't get fatigued. Whatever. Barbarians get this too. So Warrior Cry at 10th level, a Rage Mage can scream out a cry only once per day as a free action on their turn and gain the benefit of Tensor's transformation. With one exception. They do not lose their spellcasting ability for the duration of the effect. So what's Tensor's transformation do? Again, I don't quite remember.
It's basically a spell that allows you to temporarily turn an arcane caster into a combat brute at the expense of not being able to cast spells during it.
Is it? I don't think it'd be worth it because your hit die are just trash.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I see it, there's one of two ways you can enter this. If you're entering this primarily as a caster, it's fucking garbage.
Now, to give you an idea, it gives you +4 bonus to all 3 physical stats, +4 natural armor, +5 bonus to fortitude saves, and proficiency with all simple and martial weapons. And your base attack bonus is equal to your character level.
See, if you're entering this as like a primarily wizard or as a sorcerer or as a beguiler or whatever, absolute garbage. If you're entering this as primarily from the point of view of a barbarian, I'm only being kind and giving it playable. But as a whole, I'd still rate it garbage because of what you're doing.
I'm going to rate it garbage regardless of what build you enter it as, because it's completely outclassed by a feat that allows you to just simply be Eldritch Knight with a dip in Barbarian instead of Fighter.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm just highlighting that one path is a lot less mentally challenged. And even then, the base concept's so bad, it's always garbage. Like, I'm just saying that one of them, too, is just noticeably less stupid.
Yeah, this is Garbo. I'm sorry. Like, what's this class is just pointless.
When it was made at the time, the concept doesn't work, but it's kind of clever what they did. But because of what they did, oh, and I'm actually looking at the sorcerer spells now, and I'm pretty sure they can't reach that much, so GG. But basically, it became horribly obsolete what little interest you could do with it, and just the build to enter it, either one is bad.
I think you're giving yourself a lot more credit than deserved. It feels like they just threw a dartboard at the base classes and said, let's, whatever these arts land on, we'll combine those 2 classes into a new prestige class.
I'm actually not being that kind. I'm still rating it garbage.
Yeah.
I just see it from the point of view of a martial that can kind of cast a little bit isn't the worst thing on the planet. But if you enter this as a mage, yeah, awful. Speaking of awful, hey, look, the next one, Ravagers. So, the best way to describe Ravagers are they're basically evil fighters that have devoted themselves to Erethnul, the Lord of Slaughter. And here's what you have to do to become one. To qualify, you have to be either chaotic evil or neutral evil, because there's a divine element to this. Base attack of +5, intimidate of 3, knowledge religion of 3, which is some nice cross-classing, GG. Survival of 4, which makes me think maybe ranger? You need to actually waste a feat on improved sunder. Actually, no, you need is it 1 feat or 2 for improved sunder? Because I've never taken that.
Now, improved thunder is its own thing.
It's still a garbage feat.
Yep. Well, I should point out that barbarians get survival, at least.
So you could enter this as a barbarian. So you can get improved. You need improved sunder, which is kind of trash. Power attack is probably something you get at do. Oh, but you have to survive the Ravager Initiation rite. Well, let's look at the Ravager Initiation rite. Okay, individual Ravagers, dangerous loners, but each belongs to a tight-knit warband. Initiation into a warband is brutally violent. When they approach the warband, make their intention to join known. The standard tactic involves attacking. Basically, it's if you've ever played the original Saints Row, it's a standard gang initiation, right? Where you get the shit beaten out of you by the rest of the gang. Your goal is to survive it. This would be like the very first mission in Saints Row where you can't get canonized. So, yeah, basically Ravagers are just medieval gangsters, gangbangers. Medieval gangbangers, but instead of, those really awful, like, gold-plated tacky crosses, just get rid of them and replace them with, like, symbols of Erethnul. That's basically what they are. They're just a bunch of gangbangers.
Jeez.
I kind of like that.
Well, but then read the actual second part of it that you need in order to actually take levels in the class, not just be a normal member of the warband.
Oh, you have to survive between 3 to 10 rounds of getting beaten up by the whole crew. Oh, you have to undergo a second rite, the fire sacrifice. You wait on their knees, praying to Erethnul, or a similar deity, to fill his heart with hate and... Other members of the warband acquire a suitable sacrificial victim, preferably human, but any humanoid will do. The would-be Ravager must sacrifice the victim in accordance to the unholy rites of the deity, which involves bloodletting followed by burning them alive. And then you just get a bunch of tattoos.
Yeah, basically shows to the whole world that you're a Ravager.
Yeah, just I mean, even gangs don't show their fucking tattoos on front of their, to everyone.
But that's what it says. And once the server is complete, the only way to leave the warband is to die.
Oh, you just instantly die. Oh.
No, in other words, you can't. If you want to leave, they're gonna kill you.
Ravager for life,
wait,
dog.
You can't like. So wait, you can't like be in like an. So if you're doing like an evil game, you can't like go with your party. You have to stay with the
Till death do you part. That's how it's working.
You have to stay with your like gang. You can't like go on to another adventuring party.
You can't leave us. You can't leave us.
This kind of makes it. This kind of sounds like an NPC
Instant
tier class.
NPC class, but so while I was reading,
like,
I also skimmed some of the things, and it's pretty bad. Pain Touch. Hey, do you like the idea of doing 1d8 plus 1 point of damage per level? Doesn't that sound great? Your silence says everything.
Yeah.
But don't worry. For if you use weapons, you just get basically a dagger's extra 1d4 damage plus the 10 points per level. And while that sounds kind of good, you only get to use it on like 1 attack per day and up to literally just 3 times a day. It's a far worse version of Smite. You get Aura of Fear though. Oh wait, Fear's instantly dismantled. Oh. Oh. But wait, you get the cruelest cut. What that does is you declare your cruelest cut attempt, and how many times do you get that? You only get it 3 times a day. So what does it do? It has to be pretty good. It deals.
Look at it. Aura of the Fear is kind of just a shittier. I think this class was meant to be taken by Hexblade, as retarded as it sounds.
Probably was. This is probably the Hexblade class. But you see, Cruelest Cut, it deals 1d4 points of constitution damage to the target in relation to any other damage it causes. Doesn't that sound great? No? No, that's just the voices in my head? Oh. Oh, I know how to save this. Visage of Terror. The Ravager has plumbed the true depths of horror and hopelessness. So once per day, you can get it's Phantasmal Killer. So Phantasmal Killer, from what I remember, is like a 2nd or 3rd level spell.
No, it's higher than that, but it's basically baby's first instant death spell because it requires 2 saving throws.
Yeah, and the DC is really low.
Yeah.
Especially since it relies on your charisma, which if you're a Ravager, that's probably your dump stat.
Well, seeing as the Orph here is also based off of charisma.
Maybe you're right, and this was supposed to be the Hexblade class. So, yeah, just fluff-wise, this is NPC, and it would be garbage, but what you get is so horrible.
Yeah,
It is
this
just
is garbage.
trash. So, 0 for 2.
Uh,
Remember,
I think
this is
like
one of the first
like
books.
I think we're gonna like reach like the negative like 1 soon.
Okay, so we got Reaping Mauler next, which the name I'm gonna tell you right now is a lie. Reaping Mauler might as well be known as greased up sex pervert. And here's why. So the Reaping Mauler's whole purpose are they're basically unarmed combat guys who specialize in grappling. Oh, here's some interesting fluff, and by interesting I mean disgusting. Grapplers of the highest order, they wear nothing heavier than light armor to maximize their flexibility, and they use no weapons to achieve their victories, gruesome victories. They prefer the intimacy of a barehanded kill. They want to be close enough to taunt their opponent with whispers while crushing the life out of them, to smell its fear and to watch despair creep over their face when the opponent realizes how useless its weapons are during a grapple. So, yeah, this is the lock into jail and watch the other prison inmates violently kill them with shivs class.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on top of it, this is very clearly a monk class.
Yeah, but these are the scenes that they say it's mostly for. Well, it's one of those cases where they try to say every class would want to take it, even
Oh,
Paladins.
no. Let's look. So, most of those attracted to the Reaping Mauler prestige class are fighters, but it's not uncommon for barbarians or rangers to embrace this path. Only idiots would. Monks have natural ability in this direction, but the class sometimes feels too chaotic for such a character. Uh, Technically, you don't have to be non-lawful, so you could have a... This is why I think this was a monk class. Hey, yeah, paladins and clerics have been known to dabble in this prestige class, treating the combat style as both a good, hardy sport and a mean to render opponents unconscious without killing them. Literally everyone wants to be them, even the casters. Even the casters. Oh, God. I hate whenever they write that because you know it's going to be terrible.
Yep.
So to enter this piece of shit class, you need a base attack bonus of +5, escape artist 5, and tumble 5. You need clever wrestling, which is a new feat found in the chapter. And good news, the couple of people watching, I actually did look up what clever wrestling does. For one, I remember. In fact, actually, let's just make darn sure that I get it right. Let's go to clever wrestling. You need to be smaller, medium sized, and you need improved unarmed strike. And when your opponent is larger than you, larger than medium, you gain a circumstance bonus on grapple to escape on a grapple check to escape it or pin them. The size of the bonus depends on your opponent's size, according to the following table: +2 to large, +4 to huge, +6 to gargantuan, and +8 to colossal. The problem is that the size category has double the growth rate of what you get out of this, meaning that it's a very terrible fucking feat.
Yep.
So anyway, let's get back into the slop. And you need improved unarmed strike. So one of the only benefits is you really only need 2 feats to enter this, but that's not really a benefit given what you become. The greased up murderer. The greased up sex pervert. The special, you have to defeat opponents one size category larger than yourself with your bare hands 3 times. You have to beat at least 3 of them. Why 3? I don't know. Rule of 3. And you get no armor bonus, proficiency, or weapon because they don't use those. You get improved grapple, just as even if you don't meet their prerequisites, you get that. And you do get mobility for free, so at least it's not like you have to spend your precious feats on getting dodge. You don't need dodge. Mobility's still kind of shit though. At second level, you get Adept Wrestling, where if you're wearing light armor or no armor, you get a whopping +1 on all grapple checks and opposed dexterity or strength checks. And it goes up to an amazing +2. Reminder, this thing is supposed to be able to take on things larger than it. That's not happening. That is not happening, Chief.
No.
So they get counter grapple, where if you're grappled or pinned, you can reverse it. You can either choose to just grapple and pin it the other way, or you can just do an escape artist check, even though you could already do that. I don't know why they chose to add it again. Maybe you get like a second chance. I don't know. The writing for it's pretty.
Well, as I said, basically, if you fail the check, you can try it again as a free action.
Oh, so you get two chances. You can either try to pin them or you try to escape
But
artist
you get
afterwards.
2 chances instead of 1.
Okay. A little less terrible than I thought, but still pretty bad. Sleeper hold. I don't know why they call it sleeper lock, but it's sleeper hold. Basically, you grab a dude by the neck with the crook of your elbow and you knock them unconscious if they fail their fort save for a couple rounds. But the last thing you get, Devastating Grapple, is an even worse version of the Assassin's Death Attack. And here's why. You have to actually be grappling the opponent and maintain that pin for 3 rounds. It's actually very hard to hold a pin that long. Because odds are high, even with the improved grappling you have, that you're going to fuck it up. And if you can hold them for 3 rounds, they make a save or die against that. And the save DC for both the unconscious and death is your DC 10, plus the Reaping Mauler's class level, plus wisdom of all things. Which is why I think this was designed for Monk.
I see why they also recommend Rangers, which I will point out there is a alternative Ranger fighting style from Dragon Magazine that lets you specialize in unarmed grappling, called Bear Wrestling style.
Well, in this case, the Ranger would still be an improvement, but there's nothing to really save with this class.
Yeah.
Like grappling, if you choose to use grappling a lot, that's usually the thing that makes the DM have a stroke. Because grappling mechanics are very different from every other system in the.
Yeah, the grapple mechanics are overly complex, needlessly complex.
Yeah.
And just turning it into a grapple match is a great way to make the DM want to just throw you into the sun.
That reminds me, at one point in Dragon Magazine, in one of their comics at the end, they actually made fun of the fact of how overly elaborate the grapple rules are when a monster was trying to grapple one of the main characters, and they were all trying to figure out how the rules worked about it.
So, I can tell you right now, this thing's garbage. I don't think there's much of a disagreement between us on this one.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Just straight garbage. And let's see what's. Oh.
Oh, yeah,
No,
this is why.
No, we hold on to this. I want to see if anyone's been chatting with us in the last 29 minutes. Please, mercy. Mercy. Finally caught a stream live. I'm usually working when you guys stream. Love the content. Well, thanks, Primarch. And from Barbaro Sincero. So the Reaping Mauler is a sex pervert luchador. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the vibe I get from them. I'm trying to get better at pausing so that we can look at the chat. May or may not get better or worse. It probably will get worse before it gets better. Just gonna say that up front. And actually, speaking of that aphorism, let's show the worst. I don't know. Is this the worst class in the book, or is the base class to enter it the worst class in the book?
Well, a worse version of the worst class to enter it.
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to the Ronin, the the very obvious inspiration for the thumbnail, and hands down the worst class in the book, and possibly the worst martial class ever written for D&D.
To give me an idea, in the core rules, there is a class meant for Paladins when they fall called Blackguard. Samurai can also fall, and this is the prestige class they decided to make if you somehow fail as the worst martial class from the game. They want to make it
Blackguards
even
are
worse.
already pretty bad.
Yeah, so, like, because, like, that's the thing with Samurai, you have to be, like, really lawful stupid, so if you decide, you know what, like, I'm sick of blindly following, like,
I'm sick
my...
of being lawful stupid. Can I be lawful good? No, Lord Kilgore, your master, has called you out for disobeying his order to mulch children. So, you're dishonored now. Never darken Kilgore's doorstep again. So after refusing to destroy an orphanage under the order of your clearly evil daimyo, you become a wandering, a dishonored samurai. When they're exiled from service, they become a Ronin, a masterless warrior cast adrift in the world, but still clinging to the remnants of their former life. Blade in hand, which is the biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard. We'll get into why later. It's really stupid. The vast majority of Ronin were once samurai. Both game rules and theme the two classes together. As with the samurai class, blah blah blah, has its root in feudal Japan, but it's an appropriate choice in any campaign world that includes an Asian-themed culture. Ronin is Japanese for wave man, and Ronin tend to be inveterate wanderers. Even if an Asian setting isn't an important part of your campaign, a Ronin character may be a traveler from a distant land, eager to put his dishonor behind them and live out their days in a land where no one knows the code of Bushido. The Ronin are often found in the pay of less scrupulous feudal lords because they are trained in the art of war. They are prized as mercenaries. I don't know why they lose to everyone, even fighter. Those who hire a Ronin watch their employee closely. Almost every Ronin has a failure of honor in his path. Most involve conflict with their former masters. So, okay, to become a Ronin, you must fulfill all of the following. You have to be non-lawful, base attack of +6. You have to have exotic weapon proficiency in the katana, aka the masterworked bastard sword. And the special, you must have fled or have been exiled from the service of a feudal lord, commonly for disobeying orders, displaying rudeness or cowardice at a crucial juncture, or failing in a crucial task. So you can become a Ronin if all of a sudden you have a case of the runs during a fucking important diplomatic meeting.
Oh no, too much Taco Bell.
Oh no, I ate the quesarito. Oh, you've dishonored me by your gastrointestinal distress. Leave my sight. Cowardice at a crucial juncture. Oh no, you got shaken by the dragon's fear aura. That's a crucial juncture. Saying brave as a dragon just destroys everyone around you.
Failing in a crucial task.
Oh no! You tried to write poetry for the daimyo's wife because the daimyo couldn't be fucked to do it himself, and you accidentally made the worst poetry in the world. It's like Vogon poetry. You've been dishonored and must leave now. Admittedly, I'm kind of taking this to its most absurd degree, but honestly, if you're playing a samurai, you kind of deserve it.
Another samurai, a fallen samurai, that rather than trying to retrain in a better class, decide to instead keep those fallen samurai levels and become a Ronin instead.
So, weapons and armor proficiencies, they gain no proficiency with any weapon or armor. And at level 1, they have infamy. The Ronin's reputation for dishonor, deserved or not, follows them everywhere. Whenever someone in a position of authority have heard of the Ronin's past, usually through a DC 10 gather information or knowledge, nobility, and royalty check, which, given that most of these people are nobility and have, at least a few skill points in, is really fucking easy.
Wait, so you can like be on like this like on like the other side of like the world and like on a totally different continent and people will still know who you are?
At least as it's written.
You could even be Lord Bobolopolis, king of the water plane.
Like, you can go to other dimensions and they'll know.
What about it? Or what if you go to a different planet?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You can go to the Spelljammer setting and go onto like that weird beholder planet, and they'll still know of your massive dishonor.
You showed yourself to Fair and Elminster will immediately know that you're a piece of shit and hate your guts.
Like how bad did you fuck up to have that much of a reputation?
I don't know, especially since Ronin were only mostly disliked in their own culture, which should have been an element in this.
Well, if we go by when you get it, you became this infamous by taking your first level of Ronin.
Instantly.
All of the dimensions in reality know that you suck because you're a Ronin.
So, basically, on a very simple, because DC 10 for any character that's at least a couple levels in is very easy to reach.
Like, even if they have no ranks and, like, the average NPC charisma of 10, they still have a 50% chance of knowing who you are.
Old Fred the chicken farmer in the poorest region, in the poorest region of the Gestalian Empire, knows that you are a dishonorless piece of scum, despite being a level 1 commoner with a chicken-infested trait.
But he isn't a point of authority. He runs the chicken farm.
He runs the very important chicken farm for the poorest lord of the poorest count of the poorest province of the empire.
The way it's worded so vaguely, yet at the same time absolutely, makes this one of the worst class abilities to have ever existed.
Because that person, their attitude starts one category lower than normal. And the Ronin takes a -4 circumstance penalty in all charisma-based checks involving that person. Which, that hurts a lot.
Oh yeah.
That penalty only applies if the authority figures knows the Ronin identity, so some Ronin adopt pseudonyms or secret identities. So, you have to disguise yourself as, like, Batman or something.
Yeah, that's why they get disguise and bluff as class skills.
This is not how I'm pretty sure this is not how Ronin worked, because
Because what if there's like a person like that, like they're in a culture that doesn't really give a fuck.
Not only that, but if they're since they went into the history of Ronin, as a whole, Ronin, there are a variety of Ronin. In fact, one of the more common ones were their master fucking died and they didn't have one until they found a new one. That happened a lot during the Warring Stage period, where Ronin mainly existed.
But you're implying that this is any more different than how samurai doesn't at all act like samurai.
This is why you don't get the guy who clearly hates Eastern culture to write the Eastern cultures.
Yeah, these people did do their research.
Or maybe all they know about Asian culture is taken from their kids' color and placemat at the Chinese buffet.
Hey, that's actually where I got my history on China. I read it in the Chinese, and I read it in the kids' book. No, I'm kidding. But they also get sneak attack, which, fucking really?
What?
Sneak attack, hooray!
Because they're dishonorable. Even though the whole point of a Ronin they usually try to ignore that or regain it. They try to regain honor, but at the same time they'll sneak attack. This is just level 1. We're only on level 1, and we're still
the fact that the required alignment is any non-lawful, that means you don't just fall, you also have to outright change your alignment, since samurai are always lawful.
Which makes this even stupider.
Well, it's not that much different from how blackguards work.
True. But last I checked, I don't know in 3.5, but I know in AD&D and earlier, you would lose experience by doing that. Like, alignment shifts actually did cost you experience. They get bonsai charge. The Ronin has cast away the code of Bushido and has a measure of their own honor, but their heart still remembers the thrill of bravery. What nonsense did I just read? When a Ronin of 2nd level or higher charges in the battle, they can accept a variable penalty on armor class and take an equivalent bonus on damage roll. The normal -2 AC penalty for charging still applies and counts towards the bonus, but the Ronin cannot accept a penalty smaller than -2 or larger than his base attack bonus. For example, a 2nd level Ronin making a bonsai charge could take a -8 penalty to AC in exchange for a +8 bonus on the damage roll. Why would you ever fucking do
It's
this?
obviously supposed to be a suicide charge. They
Why
do.
would you ever fucking do this?
Wait, what? You like?
On
It's
your
Are
one
you?
attack that you make during a charge attack.
I'm like, what if you miss?
Yeah.
Because like, it's very likely you will miss because you're playing a freaking Ronin.
Don't forget the stupidest part of all. The only way this actually has any value is if you somehow have pounce, which you won't have. You will not have access to pounce.
To be fair, Pounce is very rarely available to players.
I'm aware. I'm just highlighting that's the only way a bonsai charge has any value. And it's still garbage.
Yeah, even with pounce, I would say no because like you're gonna get
So if you don't immediately kill the creature, or if there's friends of the creature next to it, you're going to get completely fucked when it's
Because
their turn.
-8 AC. So then there's a bunch of dead levels. That's another big fuck you about this PRC. There's 3 dead levels where you just get nothing. You get nothing, and this is a martial class. Martial classes, they're one of the advantages a martial class has over not advantage, a disadvantage is casters can get away with a lot of dead levels. Sorcerers, for example, have a lot of dead levels in terms of not getting anything. But they don't need to. They get spells. They get spells, slots, and more spells and slots. With martials, though, they need more stuff. And no, you just get a dead level and you just immediately skip it to 5th and 9th level. You get, oh, here's some nonsense. Here's some stupid. Here, you get a bonus feat, right? Which sounds not great, but, something. But you have to pick from ranged combat for some reason. Or mounted combat.
The idea, the samurai only gets feats related to 2-weapon fighting, and the bonus feats are only for archery and mounted combat, which the samurai didn't specialize in at all.
And the samurai wouldn't take anything in. Like, yes, historically samurai were known for mounted combat and bowmanship, but that wasn't displayed in the fucking class. Hey, do you like having to, actually, is it just a bonus feat? So, 2 of the levels, you just get bonus feats that have nothing to do with your weapon specialization. Like, you get feats for bows and arrows and mounted combat. So that's 5 levels of absolute worthlessness. What a great class.
Like the final thing is that, like the black card before it, you get some extra abilities if you have levels in Fallen Samurai.
Oh, and their capstone is sneak attack 4d6, which is trash. Oh god, okay, so the Ronin abilities. From 1st to 5th, the Ronin regains any Ki Smite, which, remember, is a worse version of Smite, that they once possessed as a samurai, and they can use it just as any samurai can, so you get a worse version of Smite. Lovely. 6th to 10th, as above, plus Ronin regains any stare-down class features. That was the terrible, their Shaken ability, if I remember right. Let me look at the stare down. I'm gonna go all the way back to that piece of crap, just so everyone can memorize the trash that we're about to look at. So, stare down. Basically, you're able to strike fear into the foes. They gain a +4 bonus on Intimidate and can demoralize an opponent. And basically, it just demoralizes. So, hey, do you want that ability back? Do you want Babby's first status effect back using Intimidate? Doesn't that sound fucking great?
I still love that, much like the Black Card, if you have 11 or more levels in Fallen Samurai, you can trade out the levels for more Ronin levels instead. Of course, you lose any benefits from the first two categories, plus any Samurai class abilities you would have still kept otherwise.
Which actually makes you worse when you do that.
Which means you can end up being a Samurai 1 Ronin 10.
Which,
Yeah.
to give you an idea, that actually makes you so much worse. This is one of those rare classes that actually makes your base class worse. It's amazing because Samurai is one of the worst we've covered, and this is actually worse. What you get is a really bad. The only thing in here that's unique at all is the Bonsai Charge, and it's one of the worst abilities I've ever seen. Because trading AC for a single boost in damage, that's not going to do much. Not for a martial.
Oh, I don't think it's the worst ability. The thing is that it's attached to the Ronin.
Plus, like, the damage you get from, like, sacrificing the AC just isn't enough to justify it.
It's to give you an idea, power attack does what that does, and it's better in every way.
Well, you lose accuracy. I think the Bonsai Charge or a similar possibility would work better on a Barbarian themed class because Barbarians usually have crap AC anyways.
Yeah, but this is for the Samurai, which is designed to wear heavy armor.
Yep.
So, I would say because this makes the class worse, it makes the Samurai somehow worse. I'm giving it True Namer.
It's True Namer. It's solid True Namer.
It's True Namer. This is the peak shit you can get as a martial in terms of class.
Yeah, like Samurai's already True Namer. This is like advanced True Namer.
I know we use the True Namer as a tier, but remember that even this, it's more functional than the actual True Namer itself, if we ever get to that class.
So, again, I'm just going to highlight, you have 3 dead levels, bonus feats which do nothing for what you already have, or boost anything you can do. And the only thing you really get is a slower sneak attack, is just sneak attack dice progression.
For those unaware, the True Namer gets worse as you level up. That's
The Ronin does technically get better, but it's that type of hypothetical. Like, it's hypothetical that there's an element 122, right? I think the highest we ever got was on an Octium or something. There's a hypothetical element that's even more dense than that has a higher elemental atomic number than that. Hypothetical, That's the Ronin. The Ronin is a hypothetical element. It hypothetically gets better as you grow, but
Yeah.
Oh, check out this dashing fellow with his spell book. I actually really like the art for the next guy. There's something really styling about the spell sword. So, the spell sword, the best way I can describe it is it's kind of a prototype for the Duskblade, but worse in every way because again, it's a prototype.
There's a lot of things that can be called prototype for Duskblade. The idea of a spell sword has always been really appealing, but it took until the end of the edition for them to actually make one that was fully functional.
So the idea is, this is a bootleg Gish build. This is just like Gish in a can build, kind of. Gish in a can at home. That meme. We have that at home. It's like, can't we get Duskblade Bomb? We have Duskblade at home. This would be Duskblade at home.
Yep.
So basically, fluff-wise, the dream of combining sword and sorcery is fulfilled in this. Studying both, the spell sword gradually learns to cast spells and armor with less chance of failure, and they can cast spells through their weapon, which is why I call it the prototype Duskblade. So to become a spell sword, they must fulfill the following. Base attack of +4, they need Knowledge Arcana 6 ranks, proficiency with all simple and martial weapons and with all armor, so you're going to want to take at least a little bit of fighter level. And you're going to need to be able to cast 2nd level arcane spells. And you must have defeated a foe through the force of arms alone without recoursing to spell casting. That's, for some reason, they needed to add that as a special. Why? Hell if I know.
Just find a goblin, hit it with your sword, hope you roll max.
Actually, you don't even need to do that. I think you could kill a chicken. Because a chicken can be a foe, right?
You have to make it aggressive first.
You kick the you
Is
punch
it
the
like
chicken.
one of those? What if like one of those Legend of Zelda chickens?
No, you just have the druid cast enrage animals on it, and it'll immediately attack you if you're the one next to it.
Oh, I got something stupider. You piss off a tiny spider. That's an enemy, right?
Yeah, it's so vague when it says a foe.
You step on a bug, I
Yeah.
can become a spell sword.
Yeah, you swat a fly.
I can become a spell sword. So,
Well, that fly was really bothering me.
so for class features, they get spells per day. At every odd-numbered level, a spell sword gains new spells per day as if they also gained a level in the arcane class they belong to before adding to this prestige class. They don't get any other benefits, but given that casters usually don't have a lot anyway, it's fine. Save for an increased effective level of spell casting. Ignore spell failure. Beginning at first level, spell sword's hard work and practice at merging spellcraft with weapon play starts to pay off. As an extraordinary ability, they ignore a portion of the arcane spell failure chance associated with using armor. Reduction starts at -10 and gradually increases to -30, which I think takes you up to chain shirt. Chain shirt, maybe breastplate. They get a bonus feat, which it has to either be meta magic or one drawn from the list of bonus feats allowed to a fighter. And here is the prototype Duskblade coming into effect. Channel Spell. At 4th level, a spell sword can channel any spell they can cast into their melee weapon.
Just double checked. Full plate is 35% failure, right?
So yeah, you can actually get away with wearing full plate eventually.
Yeah, with the right feat or materials, you can increase that to 0 while in full plate.
Which is pretty sweet. I kind of like that. I mean, this is I'm going to be a little harder on it than it should just because of what happened after this thing was made, but so Channel Spell. At 4th level, a spell sword can channel any spell they can into their melee weapon. Using this ability requires a move action, and the spell sword uses up the spell or spell slot as if they cast it. The channeled spell affects the next target that the spell sword successfully attacks with their weapon. Saving throws and spell resistance still applies. Even if the spell normally affects as an area or as a ray, it affects only the target. The spell is discharged from the weapon, which can then hold another spell. Spell sword can channel their spell into only one weapon at a time, and spells channeled into it are lost if not used within 8 hours. And you can do it up to 5 times a day. And their capstone is Multiple Channel Spell. A 10th level spell sword can channel 2 spells into their melee weapon, using a move action to channel each one. Both channeled spells affect the next target the spell sword successfully attacks with their weapon. So, this is one of those interesting rare cases where the character can actually double cast. Technically. Because you can put 2 spells onto the blade and they'll both hit. That is if the enemy doesn't make the saves.
The downside, though, is that it uses up 2 of your channel spell uses per day.
Which is a bit of a negative. They probably should have had it as a 2-in-1. 2 at the price of 1 once a day.
But the other thing is that due to the nature of channel spell, it is legitimately impossible to get extra uses of this ability. So that 5 is the most you can get ever.
Which is a bit sad. So, on the one hand, this thing was kind of made obsolete with the creation of the Duskblade. And with other kind of Gish builds as the series went on. On the other hand, it has one of the more powerful channel spell abilities, even if you can only do it 5 times a day. Because the way a Duskblade works is it only has a limited selection of spells they can channel through their blade. This thing can kind of channel whatever the hell you want. So I would say just because of its design build, I'd probably give it a playable. It's not quite decent just because of its age, but
I'm really harsh on losing spell levels. I'm still going to say garbage for this. Especially since if you do take use of the double channel, you can only do that twice per day, and then one normal channel after that.
let me look. Second level arcanes. Yeah, you do have a point. I don't really.
Like,
I don't know. Maybe it's just the picture's kind of
Whereas
cool.
people mostly like the idea of stabbing stuff full of spells because it's cool, rather than it actually being better than just casting the spell.
Good point. I think maybe I'm only giving it playable because it does have a better channel spell ability, but you only get 5 of them, so.
I think you're kind of just biased because of like the artwork is cool, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Screw it, I'll rate it garbage too.
Yeah, garbage.
I think for the time it was okay, but it just became obsolete.
Yeah, it is obsolete.
Oh hey, the Stone Lord. So a dwarf only class, it sounds like. So
Yep.
okay, the Stone Lords. Dwarves know more secrets about stone than anyone. They live and die among the stones, and the earth whispers to them, or at least to select individuals. So these dwarves are so in tune with nature, they hear voices in their head.
I think if a rock talks to you, you might have schizophrenia.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's literally spells for that in 3.5.
Yeah, but they just do it naturally. They can hear the stones.
They do it naturally, but that's the thing. They didn't cast any spells. They literally like hear a stone.
Yeah, but if you look at the table for abilities, it literally gains the ability to do that spell.
That's the stones. They be speaking to me. God. Oh, Urist, shut up and take your medicine. And Urist hears the stone goes, don't take it. Kill them all, Urist. Kill them all. So you have to be a dwarf. Combat base attack bonus of +5. You need stoneworking 6 ranks of craft stoneworking 6 ranks, and you have to be able to speak Terran. And you need endurance, which is not a great feat, but it's cheap.
Don't get special.
Oh, what is with the last batch of these guys requiring a lot of special requirements?
You need to eat a bunch of gemstones. It reminds me of a particular other class from another book where you gotta eat a bunch of stones.
So you have to have a horrible case of pica. You have to an arduous ritual involving immersion in sacred loam. Long fasting periods deep underground. You have to starve yourself and then eat $1,000 worth of powdered gemstones.
Seriously, this sounds like this class sounds like someone with a serious mental illness.
This is the class that ever since Eurus took the peyote, he went on a magical spirit quest and never came back.
Somehow,
speak to me.
It immediately makes any dwarf that takes this prestige quest talk like an old grizzled prospector you see in stereotypical Canadian.
Crazy gibbering prospector, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in terms of class features, you gain a variety of abilities. You gain Earth's Blood once per day. They can take a standard action to heal their own wounds using a clump of mud. You just rub dirt on yourself and feel better. And it's like a crappier Cure Light Wounds.
Oh, it's technically slightly better than Cure Light Wounds because it doesn't cap at 5, it caps at 10.
A slightly better Cure Light Wounds. At second level, now at every even-numbered level, a Stone Lord can choose one ability from the following list of stone powers. They can get Earth Grip, which gives them
Well, there's no point that no stone power can be chosen more than once.
Yep. So you can only get Earth. You can get Earth Grip. So only once you can hold a monster. You can use Hold Monster on anything touching the ground. So birds laugh at you, or fish laugh at you. You get Earth Magic once per day. A spell cast by a Stone Lord, assuming they can cast spells. Because
It doesn't advance spellcasting, by the way.
What now?
This class doesn't advance spellcasting in any way.
Genius. It's considered maximized as if prepared with the maximized spell feat, so the spell's level is unaffected. The spell cannot be higher than the class level of the Stone Lord. So you can't even use it on anything good, although why the hell would you ever take magic if you're becoming a Stone Lord? They gain Earth's Endurance as a once per day option. Stone Lord with this ability grants themselves a boost to their Constitution score as if they were affected by bare endurance for 1 hour. Woo.
And then the other one's just simply Bolt Strength, which is what Earth Strength is.
+2 bonus on the attack roll and an extra 2d6 of damage on a successful hit for Earth Power.
Only once per day.
It's once per day. It's not a bad little thing, but these are all once per day, which is a problem. Earth Shadows once a day. The Stone Lord can create a figment of a medium Earth Elemental that appears in a flanking position, so you have a crap illusion attack. It allows you to make flanking attacks against an opponent that round, and it only works that round, which is really dumb.
It literally reminds me of that one maneuver from Tome of Battle where you summon an actual small fire elemental, but it can't attack. It only helps you flank.
Oh, so maybe they borrowed from this idea.
Like,
then you get Gravity, so once per day a Stone Lord can use Slow as the spell. Stone Skin, once a day they can basically get Stone Skin. Once a day they can summon Earth
so unlike
Elemental,
most spike abilities, you need the material component.
which is kind of dumb. Stone Shape, once a day they can use a Stone Shape effect, but only once.
Oh, you forgot to summon Earth Elemental.
No, I just said that. Summon Earth Elemental.
Oh. Yeah.
That one's probably one of the better ones.
So, once per day really limits its usefulness.
It's still one of the better ones. Once per day, Stone Lord or 3rd level or higher can use Stone Shape effect. Once a day, the Stone Lord can use Meld into Stone. Oh, 5th level of higher.
Because these aren't from the ability list. These are their actual class abilities.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's such a long list. I thought it was okay. That's a big problem.
Yeah, summon Earth Elemental is the last one of that list.
Okay, so at 3rd level you get Stone Shape, and you can just once a day Stone Shape. At 5th level you get Meld into Stone, but I guess you can't get out of it, so you're just stuck in there until you die of dehydration and thirst. Stone Tell, once a day you can actually talk with the stones. And once a day at 9th level they can use an Earthquake spell.
It isn't a bad spell, but to take 9 levels of this class in order to get it, there's so many easier ways.
Okay, so the biggest thing weakening this one is the Stone Power options. There's enough there that there's options, but I think they should have made it so that you can at least take them twice a day.
Another problem is that if you notice, it really doesn't advance any other previous class abilities.
Nope. The way I'm envisioning this is supposed to work is you're supposed to pretty much enter this as a fighter, probably. Because it advances your full attack bonus. It gets rid of all your feats, though, making you a worse fighter, though. And you get some interesting once-a-day abilities, but that's the problem. They're only once a day, and in a couple of cases, I think if they were made like twice a day, like you could pick 2 stone powers of this, you can pick the same stone power twice. That might be okay. But I don't know. I'm on the borderline with this one, just because I see it as a martial build, and you get some okay once-a-day abilities, but that's the problem. So I think I'm just gonna lean slightly into garbage more than playable on this one.
I would say garbage, because the problem is that This is obviously meant for martial, but you're using your turns casting these spells instead of hitting stuff.
Which is an issue, yeah. And again, you only get them once a day, which really limits them.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it does. I will say that as a dwarven fighter, it gives you more actual options and hit stuff with.
Yeah. And honestly, the Earth Elemental option's not a bad one.
Fun.
Oh no, we're not doing Tattooed Monk. We're doing it, but first, let's see if how the chat's doing. Shame for display. Sneak attack. Why? The idea is they're supposed to be dishonorable. At least that's what I think Ronin. The idea of that was. Spell sword should be Elric of Mailbone in class form, and the art is really cool. They're one of my, they are one of my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, the spell sword probably has my favorite art design in this whole book.
For a reason, if you train your eyes, it almost kind of reminds me of X Death from Final Fantasy V.
That's why he reminds me of X Death, and he's goofy, but I really like X Death as a villain. He's just straight up evil and wants to just suck the world into nothing.
Just a really evil tree. Oh wait, spoiler alert. Sorry.
Sorry if you haven't played 5.
Hey! Why did you have to spoil it? Just
Also,
kidding,
his
I've
greatest
already
foe is a
tried.
turtle, which is pretty great. His most hated enemy is a turtle.
Turtle versus tree. Final showdown.
Yeah, 5 is probably my favorite Final Fantasy game.
The class doesn't have to be good, but the idea of a crazy hobo dwarf that hears voices would make a great NPC. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. And we should be back into the horrible, horrible book, and we're doing... Hey, you thought Monk was bad, and you thought Drunken Master was bad. How about Tattooed Monk? It's like a monk, but it's like a monk that decided to rebel against authority or something. So basically, fluff-wise, certain monastic orders tattoo their monks and they gain weird abilities. Chassis-wise, they're basically the same as a monk. In fact, actually, it could cripple you because you get that non-advance. Remember, at first level, if you're only going 3/4 of the way, if you got average BAB, you might intentionally lose a point of base attack, depending on when you enter it.
It doesn't even when you enter it, regardless of when you enter it, you'll still end up with 14 base attack points instead of 15 by level 20.
Nice. So you keep all your monk abilities, obviously. Oh, wait, requirements first. Basically, to be that, you have to be lawful because you're a monk. Base attack of +3, knowledge, religion, 8 ranks. Endurance, improved grapple, and improved unarmed strike.
Most of those monks get automatically, at least.
I think you need to take endurance, though, which isn't great. So, they keep their monk abilities, but the big thing we're going to look at are the tattoos, because that's kind of its gimmick. Tattooed monks gain their powers from the magic tattoos that eventually cover their body. A first level tattoo monk has 1 tattoo and gains another tattoo every odd numbered level. Tattooed monks choose their tattoos from among these described below. Note that 3 of the tattoos, Centipede, Crescent Moon, and Phoenix, have minimum class level requirements. All tattoos are magical and the abilities they bestow are supernatural, except for the Crescent Moon. A tattooed monk in an anti-magic field loses all benefits of his tattoos. Unless the effect of a tattoo is continuous, activating a tattoo is a move action that does not provoke an attack of opportunity. So you have to waste a move action to activate them. Arrow Root. A character with this tattoo can heal wounds in another character by touch. Each day, they can cure a total number of hit points equal to his wisdom bonus times his class level. Isn't that the crappy monk heal?
No, it's like the paladin, only that it caps at 10 and tests at 20.
Terrible. A tattooed monk cannot heal themselves, which I think
Oh,
is
so that is worse lay on hands.
but he may divide the curing among multiple recipients. It doesn't have to use all at once. Oh yeah, because that crap wisdom bonus plus class level is going to have a lot of HP. You know what I just realized? I think they ripped off. Sabin's. What was that one mantra he has that was like a crappy healing ability as one of his blitzes?
I really don't think they stole it necessarily from that. It's a very common thing seen in Asian martial artists bullshit.
True. It feels like they might have played Final Fantasy VI when they ripped this off, especially since they just copied X Death for the spell sword. They get bamboo. Once per day per tattoo they possess. A character with this tattoo can add the number of tattoos he possesses as an enhancement bonus to its constitution score. This benefit only lasts for 1 round per class level though, so it's not like you get to hold on to a nice con score. You know, one of the few things that might actually make Monk a little more tolerable because you can actually focus less on one of your 6 stats rather than the 4 you need. Bat. Once per day per tattoo they possess. A character with this tattoo adds the number of tattoos he possesses as an enhancement bonus to dexterity. This also only lasts 1 round per class level, thus making
But
it fairly
let's
fucking
see,
worthless.
Bellflower, it's charisma. Butterfly, it's wisdom. Okay, here's something that's different: is centipede.
Ah, yes. Once per week, a character with this tattoo can use a shadow walk effect. This ability allows the tattooed monk to cross great distances, but they must end their journey on the material plane. A tattooed monk must be at least 5th level to gain this tattoo. Centipede so far is one of the few ones that's kind of not great. It's not even good. It's not even decent, but it's not like terrible. It's mediocre. Chameleon, a character with this tattoo, can use an alter self effect once per day per tattoo they possess. This benefit lasts 1 hour per class level, and that's kind of pointless, but whatever, you can do that. Crab, a character with this tattoo gains damage reduction 2 except magic. This damage reduction improves by 2 for each additional tattoo they possess. That's not bad, but I imagine magic also means magic weapons, right?
Yeah, that's what it means. DR magic means that magic attacks can bypass it, which include any weapons of +1 or higher, or natural attacks by creatures that also have DR magic.
So what
Wow.
you're saying is it's worthless.
Yeah,
Wow.
they hand
Biggie,
out.
this is like the millionth time you've just popped in the middle without actually checking to see if we're recording.
I know. Because that's how I do things. How are y'all doing tonight?
Pretty good. We're reading Tattooed Monk, and we are at the crab.
I like crabs. Crabs are cool.
Well, they get damage reduction 2 magic, which sounds okay because it can stack up to, since you get 5 tattoos, up to DR10.
But here's the thing: in 2.5, getting DR5 and DR10 magic is so stupidly easy because of how mostly useless that DR is past like level 5.
And that's the problem because a lot of monsters will have DR magic. What that means is they can hit you for full damage. And if you're fighting humanoids, they often will, eventually at a certain point, have magic weapons themselves, meaning that you're not reducing damage at all. So crab it sounds good, but it's actually it's not even a trap. It's bad disguised as good. Also, I do apologize for any viewers that have gotten in here, and also to you, Biggie, because I am eating some fried rice, so you'll hear me occasionally make chewing noises.
Put the fork down, you fat fuck. Keep eating, fatty. Keep eating.
Okay, do you want? So good. No, I
I
didn't do
wanna
that.
talk about crabs. Talk about the crab.
Well, we could talk about the crab later. There's this one awful crab enemy that just its mental gimmick is to drag you into the ocean to drown you. We'll get into that one at the end, maybe. So you get the crane tattoo. Characters with this tattoo gain a gradual immunity to bodily decay, which is pointless because monks already get that if you stick through the whole monk thing. When a tattooed monk first gains this tattoo, they gain an immunity to non-magical diseases, which, that's okay. When they gain their next tattoo, whatever it may be, they acquire immunity to poison as well. When they gain the next tattoo, they no longer take the ability scored penalties for aging, and they cannot be magically aged. By the way, monks already get this in the form of Timeless Body. This just means you get it a bit earlier. Kind of dumb. Any aging penalties they may have already incurred remain in place, though. So if you entered this as a middle-aged monk, you're screwed. Bonuses still accrue, and the tattooed monk will still die of old age when their
Like,
time
is
is
there
up.
anyone that starts a martial as anything, uh, older than the default age category really deserves to be punished that way?
Yeah. Chrysanthemum. Every hour that a character with this tattoo is in direct sunlight, they heal a number of hit points equal to their level. Do they mean level in total, or do they mean tattooed monk level?
They didn't care enough to elaborate.
Jeez.
A daylight
Nobody's
spell
gonna-
does not provoke it. What?
They didn't finish it because nobody was gonna buy this shitty book because D&D's for nerds.
Okay. Daylight spell does not provoke this fast healing. Character must be exposed to real sunlight, so you get a very bad fast heal. Dragon. Once per day per tattoo they possess, a character with this tattoo can use fire breath as if they drunk an elixir of fire breath. I don't know what that does. It sounds terrible, though. What's an elixir of fire breath do?
Elixir of Fire Breath allows you to breathe for 46 fire damage to a single target 25 feet away, and it requires a crappy DC 13 reflex save for half damage.
So what you're saying is this is garbage.
Yeah.
Dragonfly. Once per day, a character with this tattoo gains a dodge bonus to his AC equal to the number of tattoos he possesses, but it only lasts one round per class level. Fucking terrible. Falcon. A character with this tattoo is immune to fear, magical or otherwise.
I should also point out that the Dragonfly bonus overlaps rather than stacks with the dodge bonus AC you get from monk levels.
Amazing. Allies. That means that it's even more worthless than you'd think. So a character with the Falcon tattoo is immune to fear. Allies within 10 feet of them gain a morale bonus on their saving throws against fear. So similar to, I think, Paladins get that too.
Yeah, look, the bonus is equal to the monk's charisma bonus. If they're already using 4 other stats, why would they put some into a 5th stat?
Because they just took it from Paladin and made it dumber. Don't understand. These are great. These are great tattoo. No. Lion. Once per day per tattoo they possess, a character with this tattoo can smite a foe. They're just running out of ideas, so they're just throwing in other class mechanics at this point. It's like,
Pretty much.
They're just throwing Paladin stuff.
oh no, we're running out of ideas. Okay, so what are the tattoos can we give them? Well, why don't we just steal the Paladin's idea? Oh my god, I can't wait until they can also get sneak attack. That's coming. I fully bet there's going to be a sneak attack in here somewhere. So you gain a crap
There's so
smite.
many tattoos. Look at this. The whole page here, page 84, is nothing but more tattoos.
Endless tattoos. Endless trash.
This looks like
you
a
doing,
tattoo parlor, and like look at their list, and it's just a bunch of crap.
Should we really go through all of these? This lead. No matter what, how many we read these or explain them, it's all going to reach a single conclusion.
Okay, I'll just do the
shit!
moon. We'll just do the moon because that's another unique one. So crescent moon, and what was that? Oh shit, was that pigeons? For those wondering, half the reason you don't see Big E too often is he's in an eternal war with pigeons.
I no matter how many times I clean up my balcony, they just keep coming. They keep making nests. Why won't they stop?
It's because they know that you won't hurt them.
That I do not. I mean, pretty bad. When they're just kind of sitting there. I put out a goddamn plastic owl, and they just build the nest right next to the goddamn plastic owl. They know it's a fake. I'm not scared, and that scares me.
Pigeons know no fear. One of these days, they're gonna build a nest in your bed and just kick you out of your apartment.
Rice.
So, the Crescent Moon. A character with that tattoo can use Ethereal Jaunt. You have to be 9th level. And then there's the Full Moon, where you just gain luck bonus on a single attack. It's really bad. Movability of Mountain. I don't know what the... Oh, okay. So they just get Wisdom and Constitution bonuses. I think they may have actually stolen the Dwarven Defender there. Spell
What's the
resistance
Dwarven
equal to their
Defender?
class level plus 15. Phoenix gives you some spell level spell resistance. That one's okay. Remain conscious feat. Wow, there's so many. Can force an opponent attacking them to use their lowest abilities. Scorpion. Basically, this one's interesting. So that one forces the enemy to use their worst stat to calculate their attack rolls on you.
Only
It only
once per day.
works once per day, which is kind of sad, but it's an interesting idea. Spider requires Stunning Fist, instantly making it shit because Stunning Fist. I'll say this: Stunning Fist in 5th edition is actually very good, but in third edition and 3.5, no. And the rest is just more stuff, and there's just so many. And here's the thing: academically, this is just a monk. They just get some fancy little abilities, and they lose other monk stuff.
And even then, these losers keep telling me Monk's a bad class to play for whatever reason.
It's more that if you're gonna play a monk, why don't you just play a ranger that's unarmed or an unarmed sword sage? Both do what the monk does,
Monk
but better.
is just a poorly designed class that needs too many stats to be high and lots of abilities that seem to actually work against each other.
Also, there's the fact that after 6th level, most of their abilities they get aren't that great. So imagine that, but you just get a bunch of dumb tattoos that are situational at best, and there's only one that's kind of good. I think it's pretty obvious I'm rating this garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a tattoo that it just got worse with age, even worse.
That's a good one, Miss Diopson.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, there is one interesting fact. Tattooed Monk is one of the few classes you can enter and then go back to Monk for whatever reason.
I know you keep saying few, but by the time 3.5 was over, there were so many classes that both Paladin and Monk could do that with.
Okay. So, oh hey, here's a Faerun specific class, Thayan Knights. When we did Dungeon Master's Guide, we did the Red Wizard, and I think I remember rating them lower just because I have a particular problem with the way they work. Just because setting specific characters to me, classes to me, are kind of dumb. They really shouldn't be in a general complete edition. They should probably be in their own splat books related to the setting, if you know what I mean.
Yep, for those unaware, in 3.5, the world of Greyhawk is the default campaign setting, and not the Forgotten Realms like it is in 5e.
Yeah, actually, I think a lot of them might not even know what the hell Greyhawk is like.
It is one of the 2 original campaign settings alongside Blackmoor that were started in basically the games used to test the original system before it was published.
I mean, this is where you'll hear stuff like Mordenkainen, for example. Like, if you ever wonder who Mordenkainen is, he's from Greyhawk. I think the same with Bigby as well. A lot of basically a big thing with the Greyhawk setting is there's a bunch of dungeon modules in there. And the one that I remember most is Castle Greyhawk because it's a kind of a big parody on everything in Castle Greyhawk. I think there's also Skull Island, so you can fight King Kong in Greyhawk. I'm not kidding. But anyway, this is a Forgotten Realms class, the Thayan Knight. So, apologies, this fried rice is really good. While the Red Wizards of Thay are not opposed to blasting their opponents to deadly spells or shredding the minds of their enemies with dark magic, there are times when they need protectors, and the Thayan Knight is basically their bitch slaves. They're their janissaries. Basically, Thayan Knights are bound to them as bodyguards and enforcers for the Red Wizards. And to become a Thayan Knight, you have to be human. You can't be non-good. You can't be good. Base attack +5. You have to have Intimidate of 2, Knowledge Arcana 2 ranks, and Knowledge Local Thay for 2 ranks. Because Forgotten Realms split humans up by culture. You have to have Iron Will and Weapon Focus Longsword. And last but not least, they have to have a sworn allegiance to the Red Wizards of Thay. And here's what you get from them. And this is what they look like, by the way. It's really fucking terrible. Like, you know the terrible fade haircut? Imagine that, but you like just completely shaved half of your head and gave an awful tattoo. And your armor looks spikier than some of the worst JRPG art that you could ever see. It's like a fucking parody, really.
It does.
This
Yes,
is
there are
terrible.
people who look like this these days.
Yeah, there are. Oh my gosh.
And it's embarrassing. So,
Like that. I never thought that shaved head look would ever like take
It
off.
really hasn't, really only in certain sections of fiction where it has.
So you get the horrors of Thay. Because of the awfulness of Thay, Thayan Knights gain a +2 morale bonus on saving throws against fear, and a +1 morale bonus against charm. And they increase to +4 and +2. This is trash. I'm sorry, it's just trash. And I'll admit, I might rate this harsher because, again, I don't like setting specific classes being thrown into pretty much generic books. Remember, I rated the Red Wizard as only decent, even though it's actually good, just to give you an idea. So anyway, Zolkir's favor. At first level, a Thayan Knight undergoes a long and painful tattooing ritual. A magic tattoo placed either on the back or the forehead provides a +2 resistance bonus on reflex saves. The tattoo also marks the knight as someone loyal to the Red Wizards. Knight automatically fails any saving throw against a mind-affecting spell cast by a Red Wizard. Hey, do you like being mind-controlled by the Red Wizards who are all pretty much evil? Do you like being a bitch to these nerds?
Well, at that point, the GM's just out for you at that point, isn't he?
Pretty
This
much.
seems far less like something that players would have, and more like a cohort for a person who took the Red Wizard Prestige class when they take the leadership feat.
Yeah, this is another NPC class, but let's see what its actual rating is. I'm already rating it pretty low, but I'll try to be non-biased here. When the tattoo
That's
is...
fucking impossible, and you know it.
Oh god, yeah. When the tattoo is visible, the knight gains a +2 morale bonus on Intimidate checks as an extraordinary ability. Zolkir's Defender. A Thayan Knight of 2nd level or higher gains a +2 bonus on attack rolls and damage rolls against any creature that attacks them or that they have previously seen attack a Red Wizard. So you add a little bit more damage and a little bit more attack, which isn't bad, but being a mind slave is pretty bad. At 3rd level, you pick any of the fighter feats except weapon specialization. Oh, I think this is the part where they justify the world-specific prestige classes. Creating prestige classes specific to your campaign setting is an excellent way to give depth to the world and flavor to the prestige class. Virtually all the prestige classes in this book come from world-specific backgrounds, but the designers have made them more generic to the implicit world of Dungeons & Dragons. That's why you listed Thay and the Red Wizards, and you didn't even bother to remove the Faerun-specific elements from the Thayan fucking Knight. Very much, nice justification. Very good, very cool, very kino. The Thayan
Very cool.
It is the Thayan Knight, however, is an example of a world-specific prestige classes the designers chose to not make generic. mainly because they were really pushing Forgotten Realms because it just started gaining popularity in 3rd edition.
No, it was always pretty popular. They just wasn't
Started
until
pushing it.
they decided to make it the main focus of the franchise.
The logic behind not stripping out the world flavor is twofold. First, it provides an excellent example of how a prestige class can reflect the world and culture it belongs to. Second, the Thean Knight represents a classic fantasy archetype, the warrior henchman of a powerful wizard cabal. Translation, the second reason is a bullshit reason because you didn't have to make it world specific. And the first reason is just an excuse to advertise Faerun.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that it is. It's just an app. It's like a
Fire!
shameless plug.
Buy the Forgotten Realm source box, you pay pigs. Give us your money.
Eat the slop before the slaughter, you consumerist crack whores. Jump into the pit and be crushed under the weight of my corporate cock.
What's that? You're making your own world? Fuck that. This is the only world you'll need.
So, by this logic, they should have had an advertisement for Greyhawk, and they should have definitely had one for, say, why not? They don't have any for their more popular little settings like Ravenloft. They don't have any of those specifics there.
Can I get some Dragonlance support over here?
Yeah,
Please?
that's another one. They didn't do anything from Kryn. It seems a little magical that only Faerun is mentioned. It's almost like the Wizards of the Coast guys might have been big fanboys of Faerun.
Or just Drizzle.
Oh yeah, that embarrassment. He's apparently in that new D&D game that they're making that looks like a very janky, kind of basic slasher game.
I'd probably buy it.
Anyway, Final Stand. Once per day as a standard action, a Thean Knight of 4th level or better can inspire their troops. Allies within 10 feet of them gain 2d10 temporary hit points. This ability affects a number of creatures equal to their Knight's level plus the Knight's Charisma modifier and lasts the same number of rounds. And last but not least, Zulkir's Champion. A 5th level Thean Knight receives a large magic tattoo across their face, signifying their devotion to the protection of the Red Wizards. Once per day, they can add a +2 luck bonus on a single saving throw. A single saving throw. That's your fucking cap. Oh, and when the tattoo is visible, you gain a +4 morale bonus on Intimidate. So, what do you guys think of this amazing world-setting, buy Faerun now, you pay pigs class?
It's pretty garbage. It's also NPC level 2 because you're basically forced to be a henchman to another class.
I'd say, yeah, NPC, Ravager was NPC, and they're both garbage.
What you're saying
this
is
is
a super NPC.
Yeah, this is NPC because you're pretty much you can't like go do adventuring stuff if you're bound to like these Red Wizard guys.
Unless
Like,
there's another party member who's playing a Red Wizard.
yes, there is. Yeah, but would you really want like another
A worse
want to
fighter.
rope in another?
A worse fighter.
Would you? Or what? Why would you like want to rope in like another player to be a Red Wizard?
The only point of the Thean Knight is if you have a specific arcane sexual kink. And it's going to be one of those horrible fucking D&D
That also
sessions.
means there would be at least 2 human supremacists in the party.
To at least give some credence, there are some people, like, for example, like Greg was telling me a while back that he thought it would be cool to have somebody, like, bound to, like, have, like, a bodyguard-ish type character. But even then, at that point, I think...
You don't need a Thean Knight to do that, though. You can just build on any of the far better martial classes if you're going to do that.
And even then, you're really limiting, in my opinion, you'll be limiting your role-playing opportunities, in my opinion.
I mean, my Bone Knight was pretty much that to like the Diopsid's character in Evil Game, and it worked pretty well.
I played a bodyguard character in a 5th edition game. I played a monk too because monks actually are very good 1v1 killers in that game. And his kind of role was that of a bodyguard for a while, at least until the mentor character played by the other character was replaced with someone else. And they had to find their own way, which became a big plot element. It's just with the Thean Knight, you can't really escape that because you're fucking branded as chattel slaves. Like, that's a thing you got to keep in mind. As a Thean Knight, you are a slave soldier, a janissary to that fucking nerd, and bound to serve them for life.
So what you're saying is the red wizard does buck breaking?
Let's just say that a lot of bucks have been broken in Thay.
Oh. We're on a roll.
We're almost done, but I do like to. I'm gonna see what's going on in the chat again because the chat is fun. All right, so kill a pigeon and then put its body on a pike as a warning to the others from Nate.
Oh no!
Healing
wanna
with
do
sunlight
that.
has this turd turned into a plant now. I finished the sex pervert luchador NPC, gave him the voice of the custodes from the effort. Which of the custodes are you talking about? Are you talking about the obsequious one, the one that was contrarian, or the oily one? Question: if I choose a bigger race to play with this class, does this mean you get? No, you don't get more tattoos. It's only the 5. Where's the prison tattoo? I agree. That dude monk needs a prison tattoo. Going back to being a normal monk, that was a rebellious phase of mine. Wow, edgy. It's not an ex-girlfriend, it's a tattoo of power, honest. Do you have to have the starting class of goth for that one? This class is a pizza cutter, all edges, no point. I miss Dark Sun. Yeah, Wamood's is pretty great. Balak is great. And Dark Sun is great. I imagine that you're not happy that later editions got rid of the whole dying world aspect because they killed, I think, several of the Sorcerer Kings in that one. Like, there's a new kind of slightly better age, if I remember right, and it kind of loses some of that magic of, well, the world's shit and you're shit for
I
being
mean,
in
they
here.
just did the exact same thing to Ravenloft. Apparently, things can't be legitimately dark anymore because we got to invite people of all ages, and we don't want to trigger anyone.
Well, if they're that sensitive, they should play Care Bears the Staring. That game's guaranteed to work for them.
Oh boy, I can't wait to finish that book. What are we gonna read more, Adam?
We already did.
We already finished it. It's just you see, Biggie is to games as I am to video editing. It'll come out sometime during the time when the sun explodes. Don't worry, it's gonna
Son of
come
a
out
bitch,
eventually.
they don't know about that yet. Don't let them know.
Shit, they know. Shut it down. So let's get out of the good vibes and let's get into really bad class. I actually really hate this one. The War Chanter.
Oh.
Oi, 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 oi. That kind of chanting, right?
So
Oh no, we're gonna get demonetized from $0 to $0.
Oh no.
Maybe $.
That's the Indian war cry that I just did right there.
Don't worry. It's gonna be in Zimbabwean dollars, so it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
All right, do you mind if I do a reading? I want to read.
Sure.
The roar of battle, the screams of the dying, the howl the warriors cry. These are all notes in the music composed by the war chanter. His music flows across the battlefield like a raging torrent, catching friends and foes alike in its wake. Bards of particular militant mindsets become war chanters, giving up their spell-tested ability in the process.
Thus making it an instant fucking fail.
I think it's safe to say this is the shitty class already. And among barbarians, war chanters are often the leaders of elite warriors of the tribe.
No, they're thrown off the mountain along with the crippled children and the sick and elderly.
The music of a war chanter inspires those around him and pushes them to greater heights of strength and deeds of valor. Fighters and barbarians sometimes gain a few levels of bard and qualifying for this prestige class. They do, they're fucking idiots.
Yeah?
You got a multi-class like 2 other fucking classes.
Hey, let's make ourselves worse in every way, because I want to be a war chanter.
Paladins and monks cannot join because of the alignment requirement, but members of Most of those classes respect their leadership and the military qualities of their war
Why would
champion
they?
class.
Why would they respect these ooga booga screaming men?
I'm just imagining the war chanter. It's like a shitty rapper. It's like 6x Tenechi 9, whatever the fuck his name was.
Oh
The
no!
one
Unfortunately, we covered the gangsta class. That was the Ravager, where they actually have legitimate gang tattoos and initiations like canonizing, like from the original Saints Row
my
game.
God.
You missed the thug life class. I'm sorry, man.
Man, we should have been really covering these classes during February in solidation of Black History Month.
No, that's why we didn't cover them in February.
Oh, okay. It is
So
now unusual
NPC
to
war
see.
chanters are usually leader of small war bands. To become a war chanter, you have to be non-lawful, base attack of +4. You need perform sing or perform oratory of 6 ranks, combat expertise and weapon focus, and able to use the Inspire Courage bardic music ability. Here's another thing that, by the way, Biggie, that they lose. So, fun fact: as bards progress in levels, they advance spell casting and their bardic, and their bardic music performance. Yes,
They also have knowledge too, if I recall.
they have bardic lore. Yeah, bardic lore.
Well,
This
just like
throws
a war
all of
chamber.
it down the toilet.
No, they still get uses of bardic music.
What
mean,
fucking
dude.
class? What fucking class makes you lose abilities? That is god awful.
Most prestige classes, honestly.
So, yeah, Inspire Toughness, a war chanter with 9 or more ranks in Perform Sing or Perform Oratory, can use their song or poetics to inflict a kind of berserk resiliency on her allies. Nice misspelling here. Very, very cool. Very cool. Including himself. On her allies, including himself. Someone really didn't fucking care when they wrote this one.
I'm tempted to say this is almost True Namer in a way.
It's it's not as bad as what you're thinking. To be
It's just,
affected, an ally must be. It takes a lot of effort to make something work. Like True Namer. To be affected, an ally must be able to hear the war chant or singer speak. It lasts for as long as the ally hears it, but basically same bardic music. They receive +2 temporary hit points for every class level of the war chanter, which is garbage. Like, they can only get up to 20 free temporary hit points. And they get Die Hard, which is a little bit better, but really. War Chanter music follows the same rules as Bardic music. War Chanter levels stack with Bard levels for the performance of determining how... Oh, okay. That's at least kind of good, but also kind of bad, and here's why. You don't get any of the other Bardic music picks when you go down this path, and I think the Bardic music
I
picks are
mean,
better.
though, to be fair, the only one that's ever really worth using is Inspire, anyways.
War Chanter levels do not stack with Bard levels for determining which song a Bard has access to, which is why I really think this is trash. Inspire Recklessness. A War Chanter of 3rd level or higher with a lot of ranks in Perform can use their song or poetics to inspire a dangerous but effective ferocity in only one of their allies within 60 feet, or themselves. I kind of like how they keep alternating between her and him. It really shows the amount of care and love they put into this. The effect lasts for as long as the ally hears the War Chanter. Affected allies gaining the ability to decrease their armor class by a number less than or equal to their base attack bonus to add the same number to their melee attack rolls as a morale bonus. So basically, a super version of a super version of accurate hitting. You sacrifice AC to hit.
I know why they're confused about the gender. The example character is a half-elf, an androgynous half-elf.
Oh, that would do it.
Wouldn't expect you to make that kind of joke, Diopsid.
That's a war chanter that looks like a person who's beyond America's Most Wanted. Don't they look like they'd be carted to prison? Look at the expression on that thing's face. I gotta really show that.
Jeez.
This is the face of a person who has seen a lot of bodies and have made many of them themselves.
Are
No.
they wearing lipstick? It looks like lipstick.
It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. Yeah, I'm that's disturbing. Okay,
Well, I'm seeing boobs on it. I think those are supposed to be boobs, right? I think they could just be grapefruit stuck in there for all we know.
it puts the lotion on this. I'm thinking Buffalo Bill with this character. It's the expression on the face. That's a serial killer's expression.
Well, in the next 10 years, when I finally get a D&D campaign off the ground, I suppose I'll put that in there to torment you.
Combined songs. So War Chanters at 5th level can combine 2 types of bardic music or War Chanter music to apply the benefits of both, which you can do earlier as a bard.
Not really.
Huh.
But the thing is that your bardic music options are heavily nerfed. Like, at best, you'll only have Inspire Courage, and it won't be a very high bonus for Inspire Courage because you're taking War Chanter instead.
Yep.
And by the time you get this, your 2 thumbs that aren't nerfed are one that grants temporary hit points to multiple allies, and one that gives a bonus to a single ally.
Yep, a single ally that improves their BAB in exchange for them sacrificing armor class. In like a supercharge. They get Inspire Awe, so at 7th level, and if you have 15 or more ranks and perform, I'm just going to read the effect. The severity of the effect depends on the difference between the foe's hit die and the War Chanter's hit die. Character level. Subtract the foe's hit die from the War Chanter's hit die and consult the following table. So, if the foe's hit die difference is -6 or less, the foe is shaken. If it's 0 to 5, the foe is frightened. 1 to 9, the foe is panicked. And if it's 10 plus or more, they're paralyzed with fear. So basically, this is trash.
Based off of hit die, it literally gets worse with level, just like every True Namer ability.
Oh, wow, Biggie, you might be getting right with this being True Namer. We'll see.
Always right, bitch!
They get Singing Shout. A Ward Chanter of 8th level or higher engage in battle. They let out a Singing Shout as a standard actions. All allies within a 60-foot radius that can hear them gain a +4 enhancement bonus to strength for the number of rounds equal to 1/2 the class level of the War Chanter. So, wait, if it rounds down, does that mean 0 rounds? Oh, wait, you get it at 8th level, so you're guaranteed 4 rounds. So it's basically a free bull strength. And then its capstone is a War Chanter with 18 or more ranks in any perform skill can unite their allies and make them fight better together. It's a 60-foot range, and this is a very elaborate way to describe the situation and how this works. So I'm just going to read that. When the War Chanter begins singing, determine the best base attack bonus among all of the affected characters. All affected characters use this base attack bonus or the War Chanter's character levels as their base attack bonus for the duration of the effect.
What if you're all playing like something with what if you're all playing wizards?
That's what
Then
the War Chanter's that's what the War Chanter's base attack bonus comes in. Or no, the character's level, the War Chanter's character level.
I mean, it's a pretty nice ability. At the same time, you're losing so much from the hard base class by taking this prestige class, especially in spellcasting.
So, on the one hand, it has a True Namer tier ability in the form of Inspire Awe. But on the other hand, that Inspire Legion's not bad, especially if you have a lot of partial casters or partial marshals.
Here's the thing, though. It's a level 10 capstone. There's been multiple instances where the class is complete garbage except for the capstone.
And this is one of those cases, and while it's not bad, honestly, sacrificing the spells and the Inspire Courage bonuses that if you stayed as a bard, it's just garbage. It was just plain garbage. You sacrifice spells for... Most of the effects you get are worse, except for the capstone, so... Yeah, this makes you worse. This makes you a worse bard in every way. That's why I hate it.
Absolutely useless.
So anyway, past the serial killer, we get the last of the prestige classes of this book, everyone. The Warshaper. And the only reason this thing isn't trash is because of one of the rules, which is I believe it's the written beats table.
Text trumps table.
Only reason Warshaper's any good. So, a Warshaper. Most martial characters rely on gear such as sword and shields, or natural endowments like teeth and claws. The Warshapers find these options limiting, and they basically augment their bodies. So, to become a Warshaper, the character must fulfill the following criteria. The race, any, but you have to see below.
Yeah, you could be any race, but
You have to have change shape supernatural ability like the Aranea, the Hound Archon, Barghest, Doppelganger, Rakshasha, and the Slod. Shape changer subtype like Lycanthropes and Phasms. Polymorph as a spell-like ability like the Deva, Planetar, Solar, Coatl, Merilith, Bronze Dragon, the Dragons, Ifriti, Leonel Gardenil, Night Hag, Ogre, Mage, and Pixie. Able to cast the Polymorph spell. Wild Shape or similar class feature like the Bear Warrior or Druid. The alternate form ability like Quasits, Vampires, and others have is insufficient. So, to enter this, ideally you need to be like a Bear Warrior, a Druid, or you just have a Shape Changer subtype. Or you play a Changeling. So, what you get out of it are Morphic immunity. You don't gain no proficiency with any weapon or armor. And at first level, you get Morphic immunities. A Warshaper is adept at distributing their form's vital organs around their body to keep them safe from harm. They are then immune to critical hits and stunning.
not bad. That's
Pretty
okay.
Yep, I should point out that pretty much the only thing of the races that could enter it are that don't have massive level just with their hit die is basically the Changeling from the Eberron campaign setting.
You basically, it only works for Changeling, and
Yeah.
that wasn't out yet because they weren't mentioned.
Yeah.
Morphic Weapons. As a move action, a Warshaper can grow natural weapons such as claw or fangs, allowing a natural attack that deals the appropriate amount of damage according to the size of the new form. See Table 5.1 on page 296 of the Monster Manual. These morphic weapons need not be natural weapons that the creature already possesses. For example, a Warshaper polymorphed into an Etten could grow claws that deal 1d6 points of damage, or horns that deal 1d8. If a Warshaper's form already has a natural weapon, the weapon deals damage as if it was one size category larger. So if you use Wild Shape to become a Dire Wolf, they could grow its jaws. That can only grow its jaws. It's now enabling a bite attack that does 2d6 points of damage rather than 1d8. A Warshaper can change Morphic weapons as often as it likes, even if it's using a shape-shifting technique such as Polymorph or the Wild Shape class feature that doesn't allow that. Subsequent changes. So that's one of the text trumps tables. Morphic Body. At second level and higher, a Warshaper can use its precise control over its form to make itself stronger and hardier. +4 to strength and +4 to constitution. Morphic Reach. A Warshaper of third level or higher can stretch its limbs, neck, and other appendages outwards, giving it 5 extra feet of reach than the creature it's emulating. Unlike most creatures, Warshapers don't appear to have a longer reach until they actually use it. So you can sucker punch people from a range.
Cool.
Morphic Healing. At 4th level, the Warshaper becomes able to change its forms where wounds appear, creating smooth skin where once were wounds. They gain Fast Healing 2, and if it spends a full round action and it succeeds on a concentration check, DC equals the total damage it sustained, it heals 10 points. And then its Capstone. Flash Morph or Multimorph. A 5th level Warshaper gains one of 2 abilities. If the Warshaper has the ability to change form as well, such as change shape, basically if you're like a Changeling, or a Polymorph spell-like ability, it gains Flash Morph, allowing it to change form as a move action. If it casts the Polymorph spell, has Polymorph as a spell-like ability, usable less often than it will, or uses Wild Shape like a Druid, it gains Multimorph instead. Multimorph allows the Warshaper to change forms multiple times during the duration of the spell. So this would be if you're like a Druid, if you're a Druid doing Wild Shaping. You can change forms multiple times during the duration of the spell-like ability, or class feature that enables them to change form. For example, a wizard/warshaper could polymorph into a troll for 2 minutes, then change into a red dragon for 4 minutes, and then spend the rest of the spell's duration in the form of a hill giant. You basically swap forms. Each change requires a standard action, and only the first transformation heals the warshaper. If the warshaper changes into its natural form, the spell-like ability, or use of wild shape ends. Flash morph, it basically changes form in a move action. Multimorph, it allows you to change into different forms in your wild shape quickly.
I will say, though, that the biggest weakness of a changeling is that if you don't have a class or the spell to change shape, the flash morph only affects its racial minor shape change, which is, as it implies, fairly minor and not that useful.
I would say multimorph is pretty useful because you can just very quickly change forms as needed. All in all, this is one of those rare classes in this book that's actually kind of good.
Yeah.
Now,
Fun too.
I was thinking of a concept. I'll take this. Mystic Ranger Changeling that takes the wild shape Ranger variant, where it loses its combat styles but can wild shape into smaller medium animals.
Yeah, because those medium animals basically get large-sized natural claw weapons. I would say, for me, it's a pretty good combat class build. Mainly because it gets rid of stunning and critical effects, meaning you're never at danger of getting ×2 or ×3 hit. You have the ability to reach beyond what your form can usually reach. It gives you the ability to up the size of your natural claw damage in weapons. And it gives you fast heal, which means outside of combat you very quickly heal compared to the others. And its capstone allows you to either change forms while you move, or alternatively change different forms as you need. Like, let's say for example you start a fight as like as like a big old wolf. Then if you need to say get out of there really fast, you can then multimorph into an owl to fly away. It's a very good ability, especially for, I would say, druids, rangers, and especially if you're playing changelings.
Primarch suggested that the Warshaper is a lot like Dalsim from Street Fighter. I would only say that would be true if the Warshaper class would allow you to spit fire out.
Well, I mean, you could drink there's an alchemist potion called Dragon's Breath that you can drink, and then you can do it.
Elixir of Fire Breath?
Elixir of Fire Breath. You could do that. You could just make Dalsim that way.
Or if you're using a polymorph spell or something like that, just transform into something that can breathe fire.
Yeah, you can add a malady. You can Liu Kang people and then turn into the dragon and eat them alive.
Wow.
Like I said, I'd say it's good.
Yeah, I'd say it's good. I'm glad we ended this book off on a good note.
Ronin is still the best class. Woohoo!
Ronin was the worst class.
Oh. Anything we want to say before we fuck off?
Well, first off, since you are here and I want to prove to everyone, don't worry, Biggie is here.
Hi.
Let me move him to be kind of like here. There you go. There's your face.
I like my face.
And let me take a quick look at any other things. War Chanters, bards with no sense of rhythm. They get diehard. Is your ally imbued with the power? Which Bruce Willis? The Bruce Willis when he actually gave a shit about acting, or the one where he just is in on the joke and doesn't fucking care?
I'm on vacation.
For fun times. War Chanter image. That's the person that was bullied by the band geeks. You mean Movie Bob? Is that a picture of Cinema Roberto after he became his true form, Buffalo Bill?
Oh my god.
Boston Bill? Boston Bob?
Adam, stop. That's horribly that's horrible. We're gonna get demonetized now. We're not gonna get our zombie quarters.
Vicious Mockery used against War Chanter should be an automatic crit. Dalcine from yep. So yeah, all in all, we haven't really rated this book rated books, but I would say this is one of the worst books ever made for D&D.
Yeah, with the exception of like Bear Warrior and like War Shaper, that maybe that one like
Nature's Warrior,
Druid-
the
yeah,
crazy.
that's those are really only redeemable like prestige classes from there.
I will say though, in terms of base classes, the Hexblade can actually do some interesting stuff as long as you go with the guide made by the writer of the class in order to make it better.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but
I
that's
guess
not the
it,
version in this book. So I mean, I know we look at the final iteration, but in terms of this book existing, it could have never existed, and the Hexblade could have just been released online or in a Dragon magazine.
I am so gonna unleash the Master of the Unseen Hand on you guys, and they're all he's gonna throw it up into the fucking sky.
Have fun stroking out as you try to figure out how telekinesis works, dude.
Oh no.
Telekinesis is one of those awful, awful things that is just
I think the
impossible.
artwork for Master of the Unseen Hand is like very disturbing.
It's very Zardoz esque. The gun is good. The PP is evil.
Him and his freaking tights. Beating a scimitar.
Actually, that's a great image to end on. Let me go to the Master of the Unseen Hand so we can just
Oh
enjoy
no.
that trauma one last time together, everyone. You remember, this is the future you chose. This is the
It
future
is.
you chose. There
Fate
you
wins
go.
gets
We're gonna end on something that came out of Zardoz. There we go. Night, y'all.
fuck you.